What's the key to mixing? There's a lot of factors at play when we talk about mixing, but arguably one of the most important is being given the right stuff in the first place. And how do you get the right stuff? Well, you record it properly, and most importantly, you edit it properly. I find editing is a problem for a lot of people when I'm mixing for them. They're not sending me the right stuff, it's not edited down the right way. So I decided to shoot today's video about 4 key vocal editing tips that'll help you make better sounding music. Let's go. Are you an artist, producer, engineer, or music professional that's looking for funding for your music career? Could you benefit from having funding for studio time, mixing and mastering, or even marketing costs? I think I have something for you. I've written a free ebook. It's 9 pages, super short and digestible, where I break down the 6 main places that artists and professionals like yourself can find funding for their musical projects. If this sounds like it's of value to you, please click the link below and you can download this for free today and benefit from this knowledge. I hope this helps. I'll see you guys soon. Peace. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy 5-Piece producer and engineer extraordinaire. Thank you for checking out this video. I'm super excited to talk about these 4 key vocal editing tips. These are going to be game changers for you if you don't know them already, and I'm just excited to share them with you. But before we do that, if you can, please like and subscribe this video, subscribe to the channel. I have a whole lot more tutorials just like this one where I'm showing you how to mix and master and record your songs properly. So I know this is going to be very helpful for you. But let's talk about these 4 key vocal editing tips. You ready? Let's do it. Tip number 1, compile the best takes together. The first thing you want to do when editing vocal audio is you want to compile the best takes together in order to create a very fluid performance that sounds natural, even though you may have actually recorded it over multiple takes or multiple passes. These days, because of digital audio technology, we don't need to just be a one-take wonder and just be able to spit something or sing something perfectly in one go. We can actually afford to do it in parts, and sometimes this actually leads to a better result. Some people will complain about this. Those people can stop watching this video. This is not for you. What we're trying to do here is ultimately compile the best performance, okay? And sure, it might be cheating, quote unquote, a little bit, but everybody does this. And honestly, if the song sounds good, the song sounds good. I don't care if it's 1 take or 12. So what I have here is actually something I've been working on. I've been starting to make my own music, and you'll be hearing this very soon, but I basically have compiled this group of takes together. Now, some of them are 1 take part like you see here, and then some of these are just individual phrases. And the reason why, for me, it's like this is because I'm not the best singer, okay? I like to make music, but I'm not actually the best singer. But nonetheless, I want to just get the best performance possible. So what I've done here is I've compiled the best phrases from every take that I've done, okay? So I'll play a little bit of this, and you'll see it sounds fluid. You wouldn't be able to tell it's different takes. Let's just take a listen.
You just wanna sleep in the morning. With me, I gotta get it every day. Everybody else is out here snoring, but me, I'm staying focused on my lane. And you love to get up in the way. You think there ain't enough for us to eat, but you just gotta get it in your brain. Yeah, to make it, man, you just gotta believe.
I'll pause it there, but you get the idea. You can tell it sounded pretty fluid. There's certainly some moments that I want to improve a little bit as well, but the first step of vocal editing is to simply compile the takes. Take the takes that you like best and put them onto 1 track. Tip number 2, remove any background noise that might be present on the recordings in between performance takes. The second thing you want to do when it comes to editing audio, vocal audio specifically, is you want to trim any dead space, dead air, and also headphone bleed that might be happening on the recordings. This is pretty common depending on where you're recording, what kind of headphones you have. There might be bleed that happens, on there, and you're going to want to just get rid of that because it's just creating unnecessary noise. Sometimes it creates phase issues, it creates doubling, other things that are just unnecessary that we don't want. And Honestly, it's so simple to remove these things and totally improve the quality of the product that you're making. So let me show you something here. This is a session for Stasia Daniels I mixed recently. It should be out soon, if not already by the time you watch this. It's called Vulnerable. But you'll see here, there is a bunch of stacks, okay? And it doesn't look like much is happening here. But if I increase the size, you can see that there's a lot of information, quote unquote, here, right? Looks like this is a breath before every single take. These are all basically singing the same thing. So maybe if I just play a little moment of this, you can see what I'm saying.
I'm vulnerable. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm vulnerable.
Not the most noticeable, right? But let's see what happens if we actually try to trim some of this. So I'm going to wait and look for the end of the phrase, which is somewhere around here. And I think I'm going to cut it right before the breath. Maybe we need the breath. I want to make sure it's clean. You know what I mean? So let's just get rid of this across the board. And I'm going to pretty much go from the end of the phrase to the beginning of the breath. Looks like something's kind of starting here. And I could also fade this in. You can see that all the doubles are not perfect, but they end roughly somewhere similar. Okay, so I've done that. I've gotten rid of all that. And now what we want to do is we're going to want to crossfade. So this is actually an important point as well. And I will mention this again, but crossfading is really the third thing. You want to make sure you crossfade everything so that it comes in smooth and goes out smooth and that there's no clicks, pops, and other artifacts. So now I've removed this. Let's see what this sounds like. Just this one little moment here. I mean, it sounds not noticeable, right? But that's actually a good thing here. We don't want you to notice any background noise. And you can see, even when I look at this, there is some other stuff happening here. Like all this here. This could definitely benefit from the same treatment. You can see this one has already been removed. Stasia might have edited that herself and gotten rid of it. But on these takes, they're still there. So I would get rid of it. And if I want to be lazy, I can actually use the fade tool. Right? Very straightforward, very simple, but this is important because you have this noise and it might be only on one track, right? And when it's on one track, it's not as big of a deal. But here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tracks stacked together, each of them with a little bit of noise in between the performance, and 10 layers deep, it adds up, and that noise can really become problematic and noticeable. So addressing it in this track or your track is very important to create a very professional sounding product. Tip number 3, adjust the timing of the performance. Now, you want to do this delicately because chances are the artist has performed it a specific way on purpose. But what I find is sometimes due to latency and other factors, the timing of the performance may be a bit early or a bit late. Early if the artist is sometimes compensating for the latency, or late if maybe they're just a little bit off. Sometimes that happens as well. So I've already corrected the timing on this particular song, but I wanted to show you what I started with and where it ended up and how small of a maneuver it was and where we ultimately ended up. So up top here, this is the timed audio. And on the bottom here, if I make this active, this is the original vocal audio. And you can see the original is just slightly ahead. Very, very slightly. We're talking like fractions of a second here. But for me, the thing was on this record, this is a song called Riding Round by Left Field Keel. I just felt like the beat was very laid back. I made the beat and I felt like his vocal was just a little too fast on it. So I went in and I manually moved things around. Chances are I just took the whole thing and I nudged it back very slightly. All right. So, but obviously you don't want to just do that as a blanket thing. You want to actually go in and make sure things are timed and listen to it properly. So if I were to just kind of show you the difference, you could see here what it sounds like. So this is the timed one.
Rappers like to talk a lot of shit that ain't real. A life they don't live, but me, I'm keeping it kill. You see, it really ain't nothing. Done some shit you never hear me rap about, but I would never say that I'm thugging.
So that's cool, right? I mean, it's a laid back beat. He's pretty laid back in the pocket because of the timing and his original delivery as well. This is the original one. No effects or anything, no mix really, but just to get an idea of the timing on it.
Rappers like to talk a lot of shit that ain't real. A life they don't live, but me, I'm keeping it kill. You see, it really ain't nothing. Done some shit you never hear.
I'll kind of cut it there for a sec, but you get the idea. You could tell it's just a lot faster. Feels a bit off as a result of that. And it might not be Keel's fault. There may be other factors at play here, but it's totally okay to go in and adjust the timing. Definitely make sure that the artist is on board and cool with it, and definitely save as, so you can always go back to the original timing of the verse. As you can see, I still have access to the original. Tip number 4, utilize clip gain to solve specific problems within the track or to even out the performance. Clip gain refers to the actual volume of the waveform itself, of the track itself. So I'm not talking about the channel volume, but I'm talking about the clip volume. This is the audio clip. This is where all the sound starts from, whereas the channel is where the volume goes to in the end. Now, because this is the beginning, the first stage of the volume process, you can manipulate that differently from other parts of the song. So for example, this song, Can't Stop Missing You by Cashflow, this song has a lot of different artists on it. It's not just Cash, but he has a few features on here. And a lot of these vocals stack together and sometimes compete. And sometimes it's hard to get his vocal to cut out clearly above the other ones, depending on the circumstance, at least in this case. So what I did was I've actually clip gained the volume of his vocal up here, which is when a lot of other stuff happens, just to help his voice cut, in addition to the processing that I'm doing here. Now, this is something I did pretty early on in the process, and I would typically go in and just choose sections, but in this case, I particularly turned this entire clip for the rest of the track up by 4.5 dB, most likely because, as you can see, there's a few other tracks that happen here, as well as here, and other things that will compete with his voice. Let me just play this for a second, and I'll show you the difference between this with the clip gain and this without.
It's fine, been bad to you, I'm trying to be the best now. Gotta be honest, girl, the music got me stressed out. Having nightmares, dealing with my self-doubt. Bottle up my feelings, but I open up my chest now.
I keep you waiting cause I'm working on a song. I've been driving you crazy, it's been going for too long.
So you can kind of hear that his voice is very clear in this second section where the female vocalist also comes in. Now, if I got rid of this and just played it, you're going to see his vocal is going to be a lot more buried and not as audible, and I would have had to approach this differently. But even just looking at the waveform alone, you can see how much quieter this one is compared to the first part of his vocal, even though they're both the same. This was originally one full clip, right? Like so. And you can seriously see the difference in volume between this section and the one before it. Let's play it again. I'll just play a shorter moment this time, but you can see the difference.
I'm trying to be the best now. Gotta be honest, girl, the music got me stressed out. Having nightmares, dealing with my self-doubt. Bottle up my feelings, but I open up my chest now.
I keep you waiting cause I'm working on a song. I've been driving you crazy, it's been going for too long.
Pause it there. But you can hear what I'm saying. You hear that his vocal's a lot quieter. Therefore, the female lead is now a lot higher in relation. There's a volume drop off from the first part. There's just a bunch of inconsistencies, and that's why we're using this approach. We're using the clip gain to increase the volume or even decrease the volume to just make everything seem a bit more even. And this is before we do anything like compression, limiting, any of that stuff. Now, this isn't just on his vocal, just to show you a second example in the same session. This is Adib, his vocal, and you can see I've gone in and really clip gain things differently. So this little, like, one word probably is, -1 dB. Then here it's -3 dB. And then here it's -6, -2.1. And then some of these are still at 0. So when I play this, you'll see that it's just trying to create a more even approach. It's almost like compressing things before I actually compress it. It's me managing the volume of this track or specific words and phrases that either become problematic or need to be enhanced and stand out more. So I'll just play this real quick.
I can stop missing you. Say it, I'll say my truth. Say what I wanna say now. Baby, it's all for you.
You can tell that what I'm fixing or what I'm addressing is particularly the S's and the sibilants and some harshness that's taking place within his vocal. And you could, of course, go and look at EQ and other things to address this, but I like using the gain staging approach. I find that's one of the best ways to manage it in a transparent way. And there you have it. 4 key vocal editing tips that are going to help you make better sounding music. I'm telling you, doing these things is extremely important, especially when you hand it off to another engineer. to mix and master your songs. And I'm speaking from experience. If you got value out of this, please like, subscribe, and share once again. If you want to know anything specific, maybe you have a specific tutorial you want me to make, drop a little comment down below, and I'd love to do that for you, but you got to let me know so I can. All right? I'll see you guys again soon. Peace out.
5,